you need the flour. And I'm going to weigh out 500 grams of flour into the mixing bowl here. 500 grams. And then I use 500 grams because it means I get 3 loaves out of a 1.5 kilo bag. So I've reached 460, getting there, 480. That's 500 grams. 500 grams of premium flour. It tastes jolly good. I didn't get it because it was organic. I got it because it's good. Right, then I'm going to flatten it out a bit in there. Put a few twists of salt in, because first of all you mix all of the dry ingredients first, and then 7 grams of quick yeast. That's probably about 7 grams. No, a little bit more than that. 7 grams, and because it's wholemeal bread, it doesn't have the baking improver in it, which is also known as vitamin C. I add some extra as well. That goes in. It's the stuff I use. Normally I buy Lakeland stuff, but that's the stuff that seems to be available in the shops, and I just mix it, mixing the dry ingredients first, which is what they always say you should do, and then the next job. Oh, they also say that the hold on, they say the yeast needs a bit of sugar to get it started. So that goes in. That wasn't quite enough. I think they say about a teaspoonful, and that I underdid it, not wanting to overdo it. So I just mix that in. Next to go in is 300 grams or 300 millilitres of water. So we just pour that in. Right, that's about 10 millilitres over, and then in goes about a tablespoon and a half of rapeseed oil, which is what I use in the bread. And here's the clean hands bit. You just mix it up just like it's a cake mix. No need to get any of it on your hands, and I just keep mixing it until most of the flour is being wetted by the water. Generally the recipes say use 330 of water, but I put 300 in because sometimes you never know what the flour you've got is going to do. Sometimes it comes out a bit wet, so I do this first step with 10% less. And so that's about it. There's a little bit of dry flour knocking about, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to put some extra water in. Yep, that's about it. And you see, it's because of its dryness, it scarcely clings to the spatula. So the next thing is you put that on there, put the lid on, and then you wait 5 minutes. Back again with how to do it sticky free. I'll take the scales out of the way, put it on a sponge cloth to stop it skidding around, and we're ready to have another look. It's changed a bit, and it's certainly too dry, but at this stage it's quite possible, and I do it one-handed at this stage, is you can knead it and your hands don't get dirty. I should have taken the ring off possibly. And your hands don't get covered in stickiness. Here we come with the water. It won't take very much at all, just a tiny splash. And it makes it slightly sticky, but not really. And I'm just making sure I'm mopping up around the outside. I push it down in the middle and fold it over, so the wet edges I'm pushing down into the middle to spread that extra water around. And it's probably just take a tiny splash more, but who knows? That's probably about it. So you check your hands, there's nothing much on your hands. Just a little bit more. I'd normally keep the water jug in my clean hand, but I just wanted to turn it round so I wasn't obstructing the camera. And keep turning the wet outside in. And you can knead a bit, mainly to mix it. We'll be kneading it a little bit later to make it go springy, but there we are. So now we have, and maybe I put a little bit too much water in, but here we have dough. It hasn't really got stuck to my hands. I'm going to put the lid on and put it in a warm place and leave it to prove. Then I'm going to wash my hands. Simple. Time to get it in the bread tin. So the first thing to do is get a couple of drops into the baking tin and spread it around with the fingers. They look very unhygienic, but it's going to get very hot when it cooks, and it doesn't matter if you get it on your hands because that's what we're going to do next. So bread tin waiting, sponge out of the way, that to one side, and then this is the other bit where you don't get everything covered in flour. You cover your hands in rapeseed oil, and you gather up the dough out of the bowl, and you get it out onto the work surface. And now that it feels fairly wet on the surface because it's been in there some while, so it's going to need a bit more oil. And this is where you actually knead it to make it elastic. So you're pushing it like that, and then you fold the ends in and that end in there, and already you can see it's formed quite a springy clump that will carry on for a little bit longer. Doesn't have to be for very much longer. It's a false belief that you have to knead for hours and hours. See that is a very elastic loaf. You push it down, and that's going to go somewhere warm with a damp cloth on top, and to rise, so it needs to get about level with the top of the tin, and then it'll be ready for the oven. And that's all there is to it. So what have we learnt? Your hands don't get very dirty. You can use oil instead of flour to stop it from sticking on the work surface, and it doesn't affect the taste of the bread because it's got some oil in it anyway. So there you are, bread. All you need to do is to get the oven on, wait for it to rise, possibly cut the top with a knife so you get a nice split in your crust, and then it's time to wash your hands. And it's not very difficult to wash your hands because there's not much stuck to them. That's all there is. It's magic.